All right, September 2025. Sales are up year over year, prices are down, and it's the beginning of September, which means the August numbers for the Vancouver real estate market are out, and we're going to unpack what it all means. There's a ton of news about the real estate market, but I'm here to state the facts and offer perspective around them. If you want to know what's going on in the real estate market in Vancouver, subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to hear what's going on. My name is Megan Becker, a local realtor. Myself and my team get calls every single day. So if you're considering making some moves in the greater Vancouver area, all my info is in the description box below. So please reach out. So this month, we're going to talk about a few things. And depending if you are a seller or a buyer, there are definitely areas of opportunity in the market right now. A lot of people are asking what's going on. I think that's my favorite or most common question to be asked, what's going on in the real estate market? And I usually answer that with, it depends what you're trying to do, because we can look at the stats and everything is averages. And this market in specific, but I think any market, it's really dependent on the property type, the area, even in little communities or buildings. I'm finding that things can be really slow or things can be very, very hot. So it really depends on what you're trying to do, where the opportunities are right now. There are a lot of hot spots for sellers, and there's some down spots that are really great for buyers right now. So like I mentioned, sales are up on average in the whole greater Vancouver area. They're up 3% year over year. We're sitting at just under 2,000 sales in the month of August. Listings were sitting at just over 16,000, which is up 18% year over year. And average sale price has declined about 4 to 5% across all property types. But here's where the opportunities are, and what the areas with the biggest increase in benchmark sale price, offering the greatest opportunity for sellers. Some of the areas in the single family category, Squamish and Whistler. Squamish is up 12% year over year. Whistler's up 3%. Some areas specifically in Vancouver that are up is the Fraser, Maine, Mount Pleasant East, Victoria, and then Cambie, Kitsilano, and Shaughnessy, all single family areas that we're seeing a lot of activity. So if you've got a single family property in any of those areas and you're considering selling, it might be a really great time. In the townhouse segment, we're seeing Coquitlam and Pitt Meadows. They're up about 1% year over year. Unfortunately, East Vancouver, no segments in the townhouse areas are up. And then in Vancouver West, we're seeing Cole Harbour is actually up. Mount Pleasant West, the West End and Yaletown townhouses are up. And then let's chat about apartment opportunities for sellers here. Whistler is up 6% year over year. West Vancouver condos up 2% year over year. Sunshine Coast is actually up 8% year over year. And then Squamish, again, we're up 11% year over year. Looking in Vancouver, in the specific Vancouver area, Hastings is up 1% year over year. And then UBC is actually up 2% year over year. So those are some great opportunities if you have a property and looking to sell. But what if you're looking to buy? What are some areas that we are seeing a huge decrease in benchmark sale price? Well, looking at the single family category, West Vancouver and Tawasin, we're seeing the biggest decrease year over year. West Van, 8% decrease year over year. Tawasin, 7% decrease. All of the other areas in the greater Vancouver area are actually decreased year over year. If we want to look at Vancouver specifically, South Marine, Renfrew, biggest decreases between 8 to 11% year over year. And on Vancouver West, Arbutus, Dunbar, Kerrisdale, Mackenzie Heights, and UBC, they're seeing double-digit declines year over year. Let's talk about the townhouse segment. We are seeing a decrease in East Vancouver, about 7% year over year. Richmond also at 7%, and all other areas are down as well. East Hastings, we are seeing 11. We're on Vancouver East, the East Vancouver, Hastings, we're seeing an 11% decrease in townhomes. And then Vancouver West, South Granville, and False Creek, we're seeing about a 10% decrease in both those areas. And let's chat about apartment sales that have declined year over year. Tawasin, we're seeing the biggest decrease at 10% year over year, and all other areas in the greater Vancouver area are down year over year. Chatting about Vancouver specifically, on the east side of Vancouver, we're seeing South Vancouver, Hastings Sunrise, Victoria, South Marine, and Collingwood are the biggest areas of decline. And then Vancouver West, Yaletown, Mount Pleasant, and Cole Harbour are all seeing double-digit declines year over year. So depending on what you are trying to do, that's why I always preface, how's the real estate market going, with it depends what you're trying to do. So that gives you somewhat of an idea of the greatest opportunity for sellers and then the greatest opportunity for buyers. But what if you are trying to sell in one of those areas that is seeing a big decrease? And I have had some of those conversations recently with sellers. And I always bring it back to motivation. Whatever you're trying to do in real estate, whether it's buy, sell, invest, whatever it is, I want to understand your motivation. What's prompting this move? Because if you're not clear on your goals, selling in a down market when you don't really have to sell, probably not the best idea. Selling is expensive. And if you don't need to move right now, then maybe we can delay for a year, or maybe there's other things that I can help you do. And that's the question that I ask is, do you absolutely need to sell right now? And I have some people, whether they're relocating, family circumstances change, or things that are causing them to absolutely need to sell. So I think clarifying that motivation is really key. And then figuring out, okay, maybe you're selling in a down market, but can I help you capitalize on your purchase? Maybe we're looking in one of those areas that is also down, and like all smart investors know, you make your money on the buy, especially if you are upsizing in this market. You're going to get into a larger property. Larger properties appreciate more, so there is potential opportunity there. But that's why I always want to understand what clients are trying to do, so I can help advise them that way. And what if you're trying to buy in a really hot market? And I also have clients that are doing this exact thing. And I've been in multiple offer situations, and actually had a client's mortgage broker reach out and say, were you in a multiple? The lender is questioning that in this market. He's really surprised. And I said, yep, I'm just as surprised as you are. But the more I understand what's going on in the market, it's not that surprising, because great inventory is going to sell. And that's all of these properties that I was in multiple offers with clients, is they were really great, desirable properties, whether it was a really great building, great location, great floor plan. And oftentimes what can happen when you get into these multiple offer situations is I hear the common phrase of, oh, I don't want to overpay for a property. Clients have the fear of overpaying, and I get that. And so my goal is we're going to look at the comparables, we're going to look at the active inventory, we're going to look at what's going on in the market, and I'm going to advise based on that. And what I always say to clients is, at the end of the day, a property is worth what somebody is going to pay for it. And that's what I can't tell you, is how bad somebody's going to want this property. Because clients are always like, well, what should I offer? What should I offer? And so I want to be as objective as possible. So we look at the comparables, the sold and the actives. We talk about value. We talk about the property and everything that's playing into creating value in that property. And then I say, what is a price that you would be happy if your offer get accepted paying? And then what is a price that if your offer was not chosen and you found out this was the sale price, you were like, shoot, I would have wanted the property, but I wasn't going to pay that price. And that's on a big high level of how I guide my clients in multiple offer situations. Because in a lot of these cases, the property has been priced very aggressively. And often I'll take a look at comps, and that's why it's helpful working with a realtor that understands how to look at comparables, because oftentimes properties, they can be priced, 50,000, even 100,000+ under what the property is likely going to sell for. And it's a listing strategy to get more eyeballs on the property. And I've done that with clients that I'm helping sell their property as well, because part of a good listing strategy is wanting to get the most eyeballs on the property. And it's very similar to an auction type mindset where people are going to bid. And that's where I help my clients, take out some of the emotion by saying, okay, what's a price that you're going to be happy paying? You're happy with the monthly payments, you're happy with, devoting this amount of your cash to the property, but what's a price that you're like, cool, I wanted the property but wasn't going to go up to that number, is the best way that I can guide and, give people a range. Because just because a property sells over list doesn't mean people are necessarily overpaying for it. And that's what I help clients understand, is we're strategically putting together the offer. But it was three different clients in three different multiple offer situations. And it can be overwhelming. I absolutely can respect that. And so part of what I want to do is help educate clients on the market that we are shopping in. So that's really what is going on in the real estate market. I think there's definitely some opportunities. Famous real estate saying is nobody's got a crystal ball, which nobody does. And what I try and communicate to my clients is I can present you with information. There's a lot of things going on in the economy right now, even still with economic uncertainty. There's a lot of new development being built. But the interesting thing is speaking to mostly like downtown Vancouver, specifically, there's a lot of stuff being built, but a lot of it is either market rental or it's high luxury product. And so, when it comes to the 1-bedroom type condos, which we are seeing a little bit low, especially like I mentioned in the Yaletown, Mount Pleasant area, even in Cole Harbour area, the sales are down. There could potentially be some opportunity here with really great entry level condos that have a great floor plan, good building, great location, because a lot of these older buildings, they have the luxury of having these better locations than a lot of the newer product as well. And because a lot of the new stuff is market rental or it's higher luxury product that's, $2,000+ per square foot, the entry condos, I believe, are going to be a lot more desirable and a lot more valuable in the future. And again, don't have a crystal ball, but what I can do is just piece together everything going on in the economy and present that to my clients and allow you to make the best decisions for what you want in your future. So thanks so much again for tuning in. If you have any questions about the real estate market or want to explore making a move, all my info is in the description box below. And I would be so appreciative if you could please subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with a friend. And until next time, we'll see you next month.